Today I'm going to tell you an interesting story about the life of Saint Clare of Assisi. In the peaceful hill town of Assisi, Italy, a baby girl was born and her name was Clare of Ferduccio. Her father was a wealthy knight and her mother was a devout Christian. From a young age, she showed a unique tenderness and love for the poor. Though she was raised in luxury, she avoided rich life and worldly pleasures. It was even said that she would secretly set aside food from her meals and give it to beggars at the city gates. Around this time, St. Francis of Assisi became well known in her town for preaching and living a life of poverty and devotion to God. His message really captivated St. Clare, and she wanted to follow him. On the night of Palm Sunday in 1212, when she was just 18 years old, she ran away from her home to meet St. Francis of Assisi, who was in another town. When she met him in the tiny chapel of Porziuncola, she vowed to give up all her inheritance and follow St. Francis's way of life. In a quiet but powerful ceremony, he cut her hair, gave her a simple brown robe, and she vowed her life to God. When her family found out about this, they were outraged. They came to the convent to drag her back home, but Clare clung to the altar, lifted her veil, and revealed her cut hair, and told them she belonged to Christ alone. Eventually, her family accepted her decision, and even her sister Agnes joined her with other young women in her town. Together, they formed a new community called the Poor Ladies of San Damiano. It was a religious order for women dedicated to a life of prayer, work, and silent contemplation. They also live in total poverty with no shoes, no meat, and not owning any personal property. Over the years, her community grew, and it was later called the Order of St. Clare, also known as Poor Clare Sisters. Though often ill, she remained a powerful spiritual leader, even advising popes and bishops. One of the most famous stories of her life happened in 1240, when Saracen mercenaries threatened to invade Assisi and storm her convent. Too weak to rise from her bed, Clare asked to be carried to the door. Holding the Blessed Sacrament high in the air, she prayed for protection. Miraculously, the soldiers fled without harming a soul. Another famous miracle story was her vision of the Mass. Near the end of her life, St. Clare was very ill and bedridden at her convent. On one Christmas Eve, her heart was broken because she could not join the sisters in attending the Mass in the chapel due to her illness. As she lay in her bed, she expressed in sorrow to God in prayer for not being able to join. Then suddenly a miracle happened. St. Clare saw and heard the entire Mass on the wall of her cell as if it was like a live broadcast. After the Mass, she shared her vision with the sisters, and they believed everything she said happened in the Mass. On the morning of August 11th, 1253, Clare passed away, surrounded by her sisters. Her face was said to have glowed with peace. Soon after her death, miracles began to occur. On September 26, 1255, she was canonized by Pope Alexander IV. Today, the Order of St. Clare is running in 80 countries, with 900 monasteries worldwide and thousands of nuns. Today, St. Clare is the patron saint of television makers, good weather, and messengers. Her feast day is celebrated every 11th of August. If you like stories like